Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is abundance teacher and money coach, Jody Lynn Craven.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Canadians are coming. The Canadians are coming. Oh, no, wait a minute. They're already here. Well, okay. Well, because Jody Lynn, I mean, we all know you're from Alberta, Canada, and we have a compatriot joining us today. I mean, when was the last time we had somebody else from Alberta, right?
Long time.
It's been a while, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Natalie Bevans, I love this. Natalie Bevans is a master aesthetician. Ooh. I mean, that just sounds like it sounds expensive, you know. It sounds high status. It sounds
sounds glorious.
It sounds glorious. Good word. I like that. It does sound glorious too. And as it turns out, it has a very specific meaning. So we're going to let her tell us about what that meaning is. But first of all, Natalie, thanks for invading the U.S. And second of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yes, I'm very glad to be invading right now. Yes, I'm doing well. As far as aesthetics, I have been an esthetician for about 20 years. I think it's just taught about the skin and taking care of the skin. And I just help women understand their skin and walk them through struggles that they're having and help them come out with more beautiful, smooth, glowing skin. And I know it's a real concern, especially women, but men also, to get that healthy glow to your skin and kind of have that Instagram glow, I guess, is what is the key word, the trending word right now. But yeah, that's kind of where I come in, is to help you get there.
And to do it without filters. Right? Because you Instagram, you can put the filters in, right?
Much,
so yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can fake it, you know, but that's really not the goal. So tell us why you think it is that skin is so important. Because, I mean, obviously it is important, but from your perspective, why should we be paying so much attention to skin?
Well, skin a lot of times, especially women, we see it as an aesthetic, something that we need to aesthetically fix, right? But it's actually an organ. It is the largest organ that we have, and it needs to be able to function. And if we're not taking care of it, and then it can't serve you, it can't be healthy, and it can't give you that beautiful glow. So it's really about taking care of an organ of your body like we do any other organ. So that's really where it comes down to, is the health of it.
I love that. Yeah. And we do tend to forget that. I mean, it's the skin. What do you mean an organ? But it is. Yeah. And it plays a number of essential functions in the way our body works, the way it functions.
Yes, exactly. Yes. It has many functions. And if it's not healthy, if we're not treating it well, if we're not feeding it well, it can't do those functions for you. And then in turn, you can have some problems too.
Give us an idea of what some of the things are that we can lead up to if we aren't taking care of our skin.
If you are not taking care of your skin, you're going to get sensitized skin. You're going to get dryness, irritation. You can get acne, rosacea, triggering other things that you already have, conditions that you already have, like the rosacea or psoriasis or something. It can progress and get worse. But if you're taking care of it and you're keeping things under control, it can help it and it will heal it, and your body will be able to deal with it and manage it a lot better. Okay,
that's good. So Jody Lynn, I have to ask you next, obviously, because that's what I always do, right? But, I look at you, because as we're doing this, we're obviously doing this with audio and video so we can see each other, even though the listeners only hear the audio part. But I see you every week, and to me, your skin looks flawless. I mean, is that the way it feels to you?
No. No. I feel like I grew up in a household where I didn't learn anything about my skin. And I look younger than I am for the most part. I think every time I go to the store to buy alcohol or something like that, they're like, ID, please.
They're carding you. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's always like a great joy when they do a double take when they look at my actual year of birth and they're like, wait a minute, are you sure?
Where'd you steal this from?
Yes. So that makes me feel good. But I mean, I think this is normal for women, or maybe we've just normalized it. But for me and my friends, my women friends, we notice things like, the laugh lines. I've got laugh lines now. And I'm like, what the F is that? Like, what is this going on with my eyes? Like, you know, my eyes are tired and puffy or whatever, especially in the morning. So, I mean, I definitely notice it. And for a long time, you were talking about social media and the filters. For a long time, that was my hold back on social media. Is I am a down to earth farm girl. Natalie, I live just outside of Edmonton, about an hour outside of Edmonton on a farm. And you know, wash my hair, let it go curly and crazy and whatever, and dry naturally. And I don't wear a lot of makeup. So then I felt this huge, I don't know, pressure to look flawless on the internet, and would always use these stupid filters. And if I wasn't dressed up or I hadn't done my hair that day, I wouldn't get on social media. And I'm starting to work through those things. So I think for women, at least, our skin is a big part of, you know, how we feel and our confidence.
It totally is. And I just want to say, fellow farm girl, love it. But it's true that the Instagram has really changed women's perspective of skin. I have so many clients come in and be like, okay, you know, after this treatment, I'm going to have Instagram skin. And I'm like, I mean, that's not actually a thing. It's not a thing. People have pores. We have lines. They're meant to be there. There's a reason they have a function. Like, I cannot take your pores away. You don't want me to, actually. And so I think there's a disconnect of what we think skin is supposed to look like and what it actually is supposed to look like. And I know that has hindered a lot of women. And so I do make a point that on my Instagram and all of that, I don't use filters, and I've never used filters, because I want you to know, like, this is real skin. This is an achievable goal. Like, you can have skin that looks like skin, but still is healthy. And, you know, like, it's just, it's doing the women a disservice is to never showing real skin. Even fellow dermatologists and estheticians and stuff I see using filters, and I think you're not giving them what they actually can achieve. And so then they think something is wrong with them because they're not getting that right. Just like you said, like, you had to be perfect to get on, but it isn't the case. And then you were talking about your fine lines and stuff. And I think there's a kind of a fine line that we need to walk. We need to embrace aging. Aging is beautiful and it's a privilege. Not everybody gets to age. And so I think it's important to be able to age gracefully. Of course, we don't want to just, like, you know, let everything go, right? But I think at the same time, we need to recognize that a few lines can be beautiful. Like, it shows your life. It shows what you've been through and who you are. And I also always tell people, like, if you are a 20-year-old and you do not take care of your skin and you are, you know, just really, really hard on your skin, but if a 50-year-old is taking really good care of their skin and it's very healthy, to me, the older person has better skin than the younger person. So it really is, I don't know, in the eye, I guess. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah, I like that reframe that you just gave everybody. You know, not everybody has the opportunity to gain those laugh lines or, like, the crinkle crow's feet or whatever they're called beside your eyes. That really struck me in the feels when you said that, because I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Another thing that occurs to me is, like you both were talking about earlier, the pressures, the expectations of society and social media and all that kind of thing, which for years, long before social media, I always thought those were a little bit crazy anyway. And that turns out I was right. But more than that, I mean, certainly, like any man, I like a young woman's skin because it's always quite beautiful. But I also like an older woman's skin. It's like what you were saying, Natalie. It comes down to whether or not they're taking care of themselves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you're taking care of yourself, I love that. Yeah. In fact, I think we can kind of agree, just because of the way, you know, the beauty world and so forth works. Younger women, in many ways, look alike, but as they get older, they become very differentiated, and that's when they become even more interesting, as far as I'm concerned, because that's when the personality is actually coming through and kind of breaking through that social structure that they were, you know, kind of existing within for years. I like that part.
Yeah, they're not following that conformity anymore. They're becoming like themselves. And yes. I agree. I love that too.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous. So as you're working with people, as you're working with women in particular, but do you also work with men? I should ask that. I should make an assumption here. Okay. Yeah. So
I will work with anybody who walks in.
Okay. All right. So as you're working with people to alleviate skin issues and alleviate mental issues regarding skin and so forth, where do you find you get the biggest number of inquiries about? Like what stands out in your mind when you kind of summarize all the different people who come to you?
I mean, as far as what I treat, I would say the top two are acne and aging. That's kind of where it is. And some people, it's both of those at the same time. So,
wow.
Yeah, those are probably the top two things that I see people for. And I do stuff online. That's what I mainly do. And so I'll do little stuff. And that really is the top two things, is they're worried about acne, or when they're starting to worrying about aging too. And, in my 20s, that's the thing that was on my mind. Because of social media, I feel like even in the 20s, that has become a new concern. And then as they age, that's what we're worried about. But then also they are still sometimes dealing with acne as well. So.
I remember when I was in my teens, I had a rather severe acne problem. It did eventually clear itself up, but this was in a time before anything was really known about how to handle it. So I get the impression that a lot has been learned since then, but just kind of touch, on some of the highlights there.
Honestly, that it has changed just since I've been in school. I mean, obviously that was 20 years ago. That's a long time. But the amount of technology and the way that we apply things and the machines that they have, and just so much has changed. I mean, when I started, it was about really strong glycolic acids, and we were doing 20%, 30% glycolic acids and peels and stuff like that, and using really strong, all in home care and everything. But now it's we're realizing that wasn't probably the best way to apply it. So we are being able to formulate it a little better, and so that we still get that really potent effect, but it's really applied in a gentle manner. So your skin's not whoa, what happened? What are you putting on me? So definitely there has been a lot of technology in products and machines and just everything really, which is wonderful, right? Great for skin.
But when you think about it from your perspective, do you tend to emphasize what the more mainstream approach has been, or do you take more of a holistic, or do you kind of bridge the two, or how do you look at it?
I am definitely kind of in the middle. Because I really want the people that I work with to understand that skin is like a 50-50, and half of it is what is happening on the inside. And your skin is a reflection of what's happening on the inside. So if you're having these huge rashes or acne flare-ups or something, your skin's trying to tell you something, and something that's happening probably internally. If you can't pinpoint it topically, like you change laundry detergents and that's the side of your face you sleep on, you can't pinpoint it like that. It's something happening inside, and your body is trying to communicate, because that's another thing that your skin does. That's another function. We don't recognize it as that, right? We think it has this rash. Why is it doing this to me? And it needs to go away. Let's go to the doctor and make it go away, right? It's not a look on oh, okay, what am I doing internally? How can I fix this? And then the other 50% is topically, right? You've got to make sure you're keeping that skin barrier strong, and that you're protecting it so that, again, it can function and keep things in that's supposed to be in, and keep things out that they need to keep out. And so my approach is definitely kind of in the middle. I love all the new technology and the product lines and the ingredients that they can really add and help topically. But skin starts from within. It is about your diet and your health and your stress levels. A lot of times when I say that to clients about their stress and trying to control it and manage it, then they're like, well, what does that have to do with my skin? But as a woman, we know if we are super stressed, we're going to get that zit, right? Every time. And so they're very connected, your emotions and your skin, and your body as a whole. And so that's kind of how I approach skin overall.
That's good. Jody Lynn, I see questions already in your head. What do you got going on there?
Yeah, I'm just curious, could you kind of sort of already answered it, that you're looking at the holistic picture. But in your practice today, are you using I don't even know what it's called, or is it more like skin care, the potions and lotions and stuff, or is it that and I don't know if Botox, or I don't know anything about skin treatments, but the other fancy machines they have in those places? Do you do both of those, or what does your practice look like?
So really my practice is online. And what I do is I teach women how to understand their skin. And so we go through a course where they learn about their skin. They learn about skin and then they figure out how to apply it to them. And then I do work with the skincare line so that they will have all the products. And the most important thing is to find the products that work for you. Your skin is not like the celebrity you're following or the Instagram influencer that's pushing all this product on you. What? Your skin is not even like your neighbors or your best friends. It's not even like your mom's. And so when I prescribe a skincare regimen for somebody, it's so isolated to them that literally their mom will not have the same skincare regimen as they do. And so that's kind of what I do. And so I make sure that they're learning about their skin. So what my goal is that somebody will know so much about their skin that they will recognize the changes it goes through, and then they'll know what to do with it so that they're not always tied to somebody telling them, what should I do? Because we, as women especially, use so much brain power going through Instagram and TikTok and blogs and videos and YouTubes, like
making
constantly. Yeah, and talking about with friends, like all the time. We're just spending all this time talking about our skin and what's working for you and what should I hear. And if you're, if you're acne prone or if you're premature aging or something, anytime you go into a store, you're going to be looking for that on the shelves. Like, ooh, maybe this will work or maybe this will work. So you're buying all of this stuff. You're wasting all this money. And then you really are no further ahead than you were before, right? After watching 700 YouTube videos, you're like, well, wait, what do I actually need? And so that's kind of where I come in. I just cut through all that clutter. I teach you about skin, and then I teach you what your specific skin needs. So then you're just free. You don't have to do all that anymore. You're just, I don't know, it just changes women's perspective, and their confidence in themselves just soars because they're like, I don't have to scroll anymore and I don't have to feel stressed about it. And I don't know. It's just a beautiful moment when they're like, you can see that confidence come through and they just figure it out for themselves.
They actually understand.
Yes. And when their skin changes, they know when it will change, seasons or as they move or whatever. And then they can recognize it and then they know what to do about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no education on that whatsoever. So this is awesome that you're bringing that into the world. Something that I realized about myself in my journey with skin was that I was treating my skin, and I'm not 100% recovered from this viewpoint, but I was treating my skin as just another thing to do. I have to wash my face. It's a chore. It's whatever, gotta put all this stuff on it. I would really struggle to do the routine that, this person or that celebrity gave or this one. I was so disconnected from it because I wasn't looking at it from the perspective that you're bringing to the table of it's an organ. It's a representation of what's going on the inside. And there's a reason why, it's telling you a story. Right on your face, literally.
Yeah, it's true. It's exactly true. And I was a little bit like you where you said that your mom didn't really know much. So, my mother taught me as much as she knew, but the information was so little. It was like wash your face and put a moisturizer on. As far as what moisturizer or what cleanser, I don't know. It's just what I've been told. So make sure you wash your face. And so, yeah, the education is not there for skin, which is ironic because we all have skin and we all need to take care of our skin, and we're all searching for answers. And so it's definitely a struggle that women go through, but yeah, it's not easy to find answers because everybody's skin is so individual. And so what's going to work on your best friend is not going to work on you probably. And if you're not enjoying any of it, that to me says first, you don't have the education. You don't know why you're doing any of it. Mm-hmm. And then second, you probably don't have the right stuff. But the biggest thing to me is to teach them why they're doing it. And if I were to just give you products and say 1, 2, 3, do that, then you'd be like, oh, okay, I don't know why. And then it is 100%, it's a chore. But if I say, hey, this glycolic and this cleanser is going to help get into the pores and really clean out those pores, then you'll be like, oh, I need to use this, right? It's a different mindset, completely changes.
Mm-hmm.
That raises a good question. When you're helping somebody, when you're working with somebody, how do you figure out what they need?
Years of experience. No, so
Magic.
I mean, it's true. It's true. So the product line that I work with is a very extensive product line. And so I can pick things for any skin combination, skin tone, skin type, skin issue, and for any skin goal that they are after. And so a lot comes into play as far as, are they struggling with oil? Are they struggling with pigmentation? What skin tone do they have? That's really, really important when you're diagnosing somebody for skin products, because there's ingredients you don't want to use on a darker skin tone person and some that's, fine. So a lot of things come into play as far as that goes, but you really have to know the ingredients that you're in each of the products and kind of why the ingredients are in there and what it's going to do to the skin. So it's not a straight answer, but a lot goes into it.
And it brings up more questions. Like I on my awakening journey, let's call it that, I feel like my eyes have been opened. And one of the things that I'm beginning to see is the chemicals in products. And I mean, Canada is different than United States, but still marginally different with certain things. I was watching a lawyer on TikTok the other day. She's like, products I will not buy because of the lawsuits that I follow. Waterproof mascara has forever chemicals in it. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know what's in my mascara. I don't know I know what's in my regular skin cream because that was important to me. But that was something I never thought about until, a year ago. Like, who cares? It says it helps with wrinkles. But that's something that I think people are just opening their eyes to. Have you found that?
Yeah, people are definitely more educated for sure. And I think that's for any field. They are becoming more educated about what they are consuming. And I think skincare is the same. People are wanting to use, not everybody, I will say that, caveat out there, but definitely the majority, I think, are a lot more aware of what they're putting on their bodies. And a lot for skin is if it's not going to break down in the soil, then why are we putting it on our skin, right? Like if it's organic in any manner, like that's kind of scary. You don't want to preserve your skin. That's not our goal. We don't want that. But yeah, I definitely mummies. Yes, exactly. We don't want that. We don't want to actually live forever. We just want to look like we could, right? But, they're definitely more educated. That is true.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the product line that you use?
Yeah, for sure. So the product line that I use is actually, it's only sold through estheticians. And the reason for that is because it's pharmaceutical grade products. Now, there are 3 grades of products. You've got the prescription, pharmaceutical, then you've got professional, and then you've got cosmetic. Cosmetic is anything you can just walk into the grocery store and grab. So the difference between the line that I have, the pharmaceutical grade, is very potent ingredients, so they can actually get results on your skin. And another reason it's only sold through estheticians is because of the potency of the product. Not anybody can just grab anything and use it because it can cause a lot of damage if it's not given in the correct manner and treated properly, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I just love about the product line is you can actually get results depending on whatever you're dealing with. You really can. And then they stay away from anything that can cause problems on the skin. And they also stay away from anything that is going to be bad for the environment, really. They do their best. But again, it's you just really have to know sourcing, I think, for ingredients and stuff like that. And so this line, I know that they take extra care in sourcing, and they have third-party testing for some of their stuff to make sure everything's pure, and it's just a really good line as far as product ingredients. And then it has no fillers, so everything is really, really concentrated, so a tiny bit goes a long way. And of course, no fragrances. Anything is botanicals or essential oils. So just, I mean, I could go on and on, but they just really overall is a really great, great line.
Wow. Cool.
Very cool. One other thing we haven't really touched on, what role does diet play in all this?
Sorry, diet? Is that what you're saying?
Diet, yeah.
Yeah, huge role, actually. Very, very huge role. That's one thing I talk about a lot with the people that I work with is your food is so important. If you're not feeding your body, your skin is definitely not getting enough nutrients to it at all. And so I make sure that they know eating your protein and water, because that's what your body's made up of, protein and water, right? And so good protein, no matter your eating style, doesn't matter. Just make sure you're getting in your protein, drinking your water, and then fruits and vegetables, getting all those vitamins, those antioxidants, really, really important for your skin. Because again, if you're not getting enough for your body, you're definitely not getting enough for your skin. And then one thing I always tell them, which scares everybody off, is fats. You've got to have good, healthy fats.
Yeah, I love that last line there, because that's one of the things that has gotten a really bad rap over the last 40, 50 years. And all the research is pouring in saying, yeah, we were kind of wrong about that.
Right?
We take it back. You need fat.
Sorry.
What's really odd is that actually the whole thing got started with a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. who put together the food groups and put them into a chart and didn't know what she was doing. And so that became like the standard, and the food group said, stay away from fats. So everybody stayed away from fats because that's what she thought you had to do.
Yeah. It's interesting how these beliefs come about, and then we actually break them down and we're like, oh, wait a minute. But yes, poor fats have had a bad rap, but eat your good fats. Eat them. They're fine.
I'm curious, Natalie. Oh,
go ahead, Jody. Let you first.
I'm curious, and you might not know the answer to this question. So, if you don't, maybe somebody who's listening would know. I know that when it comes to, like, say, for example, cold, when you're experiencing like hypothermia, the body starts to stop sending blood to certain areas, like your hands and feet first, and then it kind of goes up. It's protecting the midsection. I wonder when it comes to nutrients, like what you're eating, is skin last on the list to be provided for in terms of like the nutrient division, or like, if it was an actual like rail car dropping off nutrients at different places, who gets it first?
Yeah, definitely skin is one of the last organs to receive any nutrients. And that's why I always say, like, if you're not taking enough for your internal organs, your skin's definitely not getting it. And that's even like anything, water or anything. It's definitely going to be the last to receive things, for sure.
Wow. Poor skin. There's so much of it.
It is the largest organ, and it's everywhere. It's all over us.
Yeah. Is there well, you had another question before I go on. I can just ask questions all day.
Go ahead. When you reach a lull, I'll just bring mine in. No problem.
Okay. I'm just curious about, the face, I think anyway, this is my perception, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the face is different skin than other parts of the body, like my arms or whatever. If somebody is experiencing problems, quote unquote, in other areas of their body outside of the face, are you able to help them with things like that too? Or is that also a message from the body? And why does it show up, on your arms?
Yeah. If I'm not, a doctor or anything, but so I can't diagnose, but if they have a diagnosis, or I can treat it if I know what it is, I just can't say, hey, you have psoriasis right here, or something like that. But I can help them treat it and give them products to help with it, and kind of walk them through what's going to work and what is not going to work, right?
Yeah.
And so I can do that. That's totally fine. But yeah, the skin is a little different on the face than it is through the body. But as an esthetician, I can treat the body. And yes, they are all connected. Like if you have a rash on your leg, or something's happening to your foot, like it still can be a signal from the body. If you've ever kind of looked into Chinese medicine, there's different areas of the body that represent different areas of your body as well. So you kind of can correlate those as well. So, but yeah, to answer that, 100% yes. If something's happening elsewhere, then it can still be a signal. But then you definitely, with skin, because it's topical, you have to first, I always check like topical, like what are you doing topically to that area? And if it's nothing, then we go back to the internal.
That makes sense. I only asked because I had these weird bumps on my arms. And I was like, oh, that's my skin too. I wonder what that means.
We can talk after and figure out what your bumps are.
Yeah. All right. I'll take you up on that.
I want to go back to the food for a minute because we talked about the importance of good nutrition, but are there foods we should stay away from because they could adversely affect the skin?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of studies out there saying dairy. I don't personally agree to that one. I think it's individual, very individual. And so I think as far as staying away from food groups, that's going to be really individual. And this is where coming to understand your skin and learning about you and your skin specifically, that's where that comes in. But as far as any food group, I don't subscribe to avoid this or avoid that. The only things that I do is like processed foods, chemical sugars, things like that, because just in general, they have a negative effect on your body. And so if it's going to have a negative effect on your body, it will 100% will have a negative effect on your skin. And those don't show up right away. You might be 10 years and, have great genetics. And so your skin looks beautiful. Well, eventually you're going to have some side effects from that. So nothing specifically, I would say, for whole foods, because I'm an advocate for eating as many whole foods as possible. But it's the processed and chemical sugars and any type of chemical really is what I try to avoid and talk to my clients about.
Shoot. I mean, you were talking earlier about how the skin is the organ that gets everything last. I thought if it got the sugars last, then it wouldn't be an issue.
And you're safe, right? Just eat all those sugars. No, I do say sugar, you don't want to intake a lot of it. And if you are acne prone, then I do see a lot of my clients, especially teenagers, if they have, after Halloween or Christmas, when you're just loading up on sugars, they're most likely going to have a breakout after. But I always kind of just tell everybody, I don't say don't eat something. I just in moderation. And if you're eating it every day, it's not a treat anymore. It becomes a habit. So just keep that in mind.
And actually, I think most people, including Jody Lynn, know I was kidding because I have done everything I could to eliminate sugar from my life. But, it's a little tongue-in-cheek. Just because I'm eliminating sugar doesn't mean I don't have a sweet tooth. I mean, come on. It's very straightforward here. Chocolate is a fifth food group, isn't it? It was last 100%. Time I heard.
Right up there by fats.
That's right. Yep. Well, it is. It's got fats in it, right? I mean, come on.
It really does.
I just try to take it with the monk fruit sweetener. That's all. But, okay. Well, we talked a little bit about the diet. Where does exercise come into this?
I don't really tell people to over-exercise, but under-exercise. It's again, individual. And because I'm not a physical therapist or a trainer or anything like that, I don't really talk to them too much about it. But I can say it does affect the skin. And if you are over exercising, you're putting a lot of stress on your body. And so that can come out in your skin. But obviously you want to be doing something. Just try not to go extreme is my recommendation for that. But
I was also thinking in terms of skin, like you said, it's an organ, and one of its functions as an organ is as an elimination organ. It's sweat. You're eliminating toxins and so forth. So I was trying to imagine, I imagine exercise kind of leads to that function, but is there more to it than that? I guess that's what I was really thinking.
Yeah, for sure. You were going more scientific. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. One of its function is for excretion and detoxifications. Those are two functions that it does. And so as you're exercising, you are sweating. So you're kind of purging and getting rid of, and you're detoxifying. The second part of that is you got to make sure you wash it off. You don't want your sweat sitting on you because it has purged and gotten rid of all that stuff. If it's just sitting on your skin, it has the ability to reabsorb it.
It will reabsorb it. It really will.
Function.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure that you are trying sweat it out, which is really, really healthy, great for the skin, but then just wash it off.
Okay. All right. So that after workout shower really is important.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
It's not just to feel better and to smell better.
It's to get the toxins off.
Yeah.
Not that isn't important. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
You rinse it off, get all of that off. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. Well, why would you? Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
You got all these other things going on in your day. I guess in one sense we could say that you would, because we're really good at just freaking ourselves out with all kinds of stuff we have to focus our attention on.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, that is very true.
That is part of it, right?
That's very true.
I mean, you were talking earlier about, women in particular, checking the TikToks and the Instagrams and so forth, trying to find all the latest information, which is usually an indication of just how disconnected the information is. I've been noticing that in a lot of different fields, and I suspect it's going to be true with skin as well. But when you have a large global database full of information and it's not correlated, that's confusing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really I think it's the same with any field, I think, and skincare is the same. Is there's just so much information we can get our hands on now, and it can be coming at us in so many different areas, even if we're looking for it or we're not, or the algorithms learn what you like, and so they'll just keep showing it to you. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of coming at us. The problem is it's not always a good source, and it is not specific to you. And I think that's not just isolated to skin. I think it's anything out there.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with the way the algorithms work. They aren't discerning as to whether or not the solution is a good solution. They're discerning whether or not it's a popular solution.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, anybody who likes skincare and can go to the grocery store and buy skincare is going to say, hey, I really liked this one. And then next week it'll be like, I love this one and it smelled so good and it felt so good. But really, that's not what we're looking in skincare. Those are bonuses, right? Those are great if it smells good and feels good, but you actually want it to do something and you don't want it to cause any harm is another part of when somebody's just picking products on their own is you don't want it to cause problems.
So that raises the ultimate question. How do you know? How do you know it's not going to cause harm? I mean, that's the tough one. That's like the bottom line of this whole thing.
You got somebody like Natalie.
Right.
Yes, true. Have a virtual consultation. It is confusing. It really, really is. And if you don't have even a little bit of education, it's very hard to pick product. And I remember before I was an esthetician, I had acne. And so that was like, okay. And I was just go to the grocery store and I would pick anything that said acne. I would grab it. And then I would just cross my fingers and hope for, right? Yeah. But the problem was I also have sensitive skin. And so then I was reacting to everything. And then I was like, what is wrong? Like it says acne. I have acne. Does that not equal? And so and I don't think I'm the only one, right? Like that's every woman who's had a problem. Like, why is this word on the bottle not fixing what I have on my face? Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's just really is a matter of education. And that's where I come back to is I just want women to understand their skin. I'm not asking them to understand everybody's skin. They do not need to do that. It's just their skin and what their skin needs and what will serve their skin so that their skin can serve them back.
Is it just me or are some products labeled for sensitive skin not really good at treating sensitive skin?
That's a tricky question because it depends on the level of sensitivity and why you have sensitive skin. Because sometimes it's not sensitive skin, it's sensitized. And if you have sensitized skin, you think you have sensitive skin, but really what's happened is the products you're using, the environment you're in, how you treat your skin. There's so many factors that go into it. And so your skin has broken down that barrier that is to protect it. And it doesn't have that. And so you react and you think you're dry and you think you're irritated and you think all of these things. And so you always go for sensitive. But if you were able to get the proper products, repair that barrier, a lot of times I find people are like, oh, I don't have sensitive skin. Like I was just dehydrated and sensitized. And now that we fixed it, I'm good. Right. So yes, sometimes.
Thing.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, because the question actually.
Product, and then sometimes.
The question really came to me because I'm recently divorced, but my ex used to have an issue with all kinds of so-called sensitive products. And some of them would be okay. They'd work out okay. Other cases, she would insist to me that they weren't actually for sensitive skin because she'd have some sort of an issue with it. And I didn't know why. I'm no dermatologist. I'm not a chemist. I don't know what's in those things, But it confused me. Like, well, all right. Well, is it really for sensitive skin? I don't know.
Well, and that's again where it comes in is like, if you have this and a bottle says it, you put it on and then you're confused. Why isn't this working? I don't understand why it's not working because it literally says for my condition, right? And so again, it just comes down to knowing ingredients and knowing what your skin actually needs.
Mm-hmm. Jody Lynn, I think we're coming to the point here where we're saying everybody should have a master esthetician on their side. I mean, seriously.
I agree. Yeah, or at least take a course like yours, Natalie, to understand your own skin so that you become your own master esthetician.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to do this for me. You don't have to know about your friend's skin and diagnose everybody else's skin. Like it really is just figure out your skin and understand your skin. And that's where then it doesn't become like a chore. Like you said, it's not a chore to do your face stuff because it becomes a self-care and a self-soothing, and because you understand why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and you're starting to see results. Your skin is starting to be healthy and starting to glow, and you're able to really like turn it around. And the confidence that gives you as a woman and the power that it gives you, some of the women that I've worked with, I've seen them like make really big life changes. And I feel like it just stems from that. Like if you are confident in your skin and knowing how to deal with your skin, you're ready to take on different things in your life. Like it can change who you are.
Mm-hmm.
What about for men? I mean, we were mentioning earlier, you work with both women and men, and lately we've been addressing women because clearly they pay more attention and they're more interested. But what are some of the things that men need to be paying attention to? We largely don't even know. You know, we're just, okay, sure, I have skin, great. Should I put on some sunscreen? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, men have skin just like women. Like we don't have different skin. Each individual has different skin, but as far as treating the skin, caring for the skin, it is important for both men and women to take care of it. And I know a lot of I've been doing this long enough to kind of tell personality wise, and, if you think a 10-step regimen is the only thing that's going to work for you, I'm going to give you a 10-step regimen. But if I know you're the type that will barely cleanse and moisturize, which is most of the men that I work with, I'm sorry, then that's what I'm going to give you. Like, I'm not going to overwhelm you. I'm going to give the basic of what you absolutely need. But yeah, men, you need to be cleansing, you need to exfoliate, you need to moisturize, and you need to screen. Those are your basics that I would recommend. But yeah, you need all that stuff just as a woman does, for sure.
So there really is a very simple regimen that a man could follow without driving himself crazy?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, and really the regimens that you can do, that I give, you can do in 2 minutes. Like it doesn't take a long time to do skincare. If that's, I know that people can spend an hour on skincare. That's not necessary. If you want to do it, that's wonderful, but it isn't necessary. So yeah, you can wash your face within a minute, pat it dry, put on your moisturizer, like go to bed. It does not have to take a long time.
Well, it's an important point because I think I can safely say most men give no attention at all to their skin. And therefore we give also no attention to, well, what can be done about it and how do you address it? And what do the latest Instagrams say? We're just not tuned into it. It's just not part of our radar. So when we're faced with the idea, we really need to do something, talk about lack of education, we're lost. No idea.
Yeah.
Which I think is so unfair, Walt. Like men, they age so gracefully and so beautifully, and they never pick up a cloth and wash their face.
But you know what? That also ties into the social norm. It's okay for the male to have the not perfect skin. It's okay to show the aging. It's okay to show the lines. It's like, well, yeah, all right. So if it's okay, what am I going to worry about? Who cares?
Yeah. For a male to age, it's dignified, right?
Yeah. Not quite sure why, but yeah. I haven't figured that part out.
They're wise.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, the wisdom.
Sure. Okay. Mm-hmm. But we'll buy that one because I have no idea. But this is interesting though. This whole first of all, I learned something new. I didn't even know what esthetician was. I had no idea that had to do with skin. Like, okay. Talk about lack of education. I mean,
that's okay. I've had people think I'm an anesthesiologist, and I'm like, no. I won't put you to sleep. Maybe in a facial I'll put you to sleep, but no.
Numb your skin with my new... No, we aren't going there.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine showing up for a podcast when they thought you were an anesthesiologist? Like, okay, so what are we talking about today?
I think some grave mistakes have been made.
That's where you start telling the surgeon jokes, right? You don't want your surgeon to X fill in the blank. Yeah, all those kind of things. Well, they say that the most important person in the operating room to the surgeon is an esthetician. I mean, that's like the core of what they're dealing with. So, yeah, it makes sense to me.
You mean anesthesiologist, not
That's one.
esthetician.
You mean they're not the same? I thought we said they were the same thing. Oh, did I miss that? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, I go over the edge sometimes. I agree. So we'll get back to serious for a moment. All right, so I think we touched most of the main things that people might be interested in where skin is concerned and where skin care is concerned. I asked about, for men, a simple program. I imagine probably women like the idea of simplicity too. I imagine you can do the same kind of thing. You can come up with something that they don't, they just 1, 2, 3, they're done. No big deal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I kind of read their personality. I can tell what they're going to want. I have them answer a questionnaire as well. I can kind of feel out, are they going to be somebody that only thinks that a 20-step regimen is the only thing that's going to work? Or if they're just super simple, give me the basics, because otherwise I'm not going to do it. And then there's those in between as well. So yeah, for sure. I can do a simple regimen for somebody who just wants the basics.
Ooh, I can think of another category we need to address. Kids. We haven't talked about children yet. They have skin too, it turns out.
Yes, that's surprising, right?
4 out of 5 studies show kids do have skin.
Thank God.
Good sense. Yes, kids. So really just keep it hydrated. I wouldn't go crazy just because it's quite young and they've got the oil productions, and we don't really do anything harsh to the kids as far as like putting chemicals on or going in a chemical filled environment. Like if you work in a factory with lots of chemicals, like that's not what's going to happen with the kids. And so it's like around the teenage puberty years that I say, let's start getting thing. And then if they start thing, like I'll do like cleanse and moisturizer. And then of course the sunscreen daily. I always say everybody needs to wear sunscreen daily. And then as you get into more of the breakouts and acnes, we can progress in different serums and treatments, and depending on what they need and how their skin is reacting and stuff like that, we can kind of tailor it to them. But generally with the teens, I kind of keep it simple, especially with the teenage boys. I gotta say, sometimes they just don't want to do any of it. And I'm like, well, it's going to equal more breakouts. So if that's what you're prepared for, but yeah, just kind of keep it simple. But for sure, they need some sort of a skin regimen.
Yeah, I would think the breakout warning, that probably at least gets their attention, I would think.
You would think, but it's not happening right
so much?
now. So that's not a concern until it does happen.
Okay. So it actually has to happen before they're concerned, is what you're saying.
They'll figure it out.
My goodness. Yeah.
Natalie, is there anything that on the shelf that you would recommend? This question popped into my head. My niece, who is 12, just starting to go through puberty and stuff like that. She's, her mom's good at cleaning her face, regimenting, but she says, Auntie, what do you use on your skin? Because you look so young.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use more expensive, like not the grade that you're speaking of as of yet, but more expensive products. But is there something that's maybe a better fit for somebody that's a teen that they have more readily available access to at a drugstore or a different store?
I'm not going to say any specific lines because there are so many out there and people have access to different ones. So I think what they need to look for is the word non-comedogenic or non-clogging. And that will, especially in the teen years when they're dealing with the acne, that will kind of get them through that, because if you've got to keep it hydrated. Hydrated skin, especially with acne, is going to heal up and kind of do the cycle faster. So you keep it hydrated, but you don't want to cause more harm. And so if you are adding comedogenic products to it, you're just going to clog more pores and you're going to cause more issues. So make sure every product says on the bottle non-comedogenic. And if it doesn't, keep going.
That's good advice. I like that.
Yeah.
You've mentioned hydration a few times now. I mean, is it as obvious as we think? Just drink enough water, or is there more to it?
There really is more to it. So I always talk about hydration. And when I say hydration, I mean both, like your oils and your waters, and internally and externally. So first, you definitely have to drink enough water. And then second, your oil, like you've got to have the good fats. And then topically, you've got to make sure that you are keeping that skin barrier on. And so a lot of times people, this is a misconception, is if you're oily skin, you don't need a moisturizer. Well, actually you do, because you need to continue that barrier for your skin and protect it so that the moisture isn't lost into the air. And then you can also kind of keep everything in, the good stuff in, the bad stuff out. And so hydration to me is water and fats internally and externally.
You've used that word barrier a number of times. Talk about the barrier. What does that consist of?
So everybody has a protective barrier on their skin. So it's just kind of a mixture of oils and fats and serums and stuff like that. Like if you touch your skin, that's what you're actually touching, hopefully. And what it does is it just is like a film to the skin almost. And it is breathable and things can pass in and pass out, but it's kind of like the gates. Right? Like it'll say, oh, this isn't going to work and this can come in, this has to stay out, and this can come out. So it's kind of that. And that's when if you strip, it takes your body 8 hours to build that back up again. And a lot of times way back in like the 80s, we'd use those alcohol toners, right? We use them morning and night. So basically we were just stripping our body of that protective barrier in the morning. Then 8 hours later, it finally is able to build that back up again and to protect your skin. And then we'd strip again. Right? So it's a cycle. And a lot of products on over the counter and just a lot of products out there strip. And sometimes as an esthetician, I will do it intentionally because we're doing a deep treatment or something like that, but that you always want to replace it. You want to put it back on the skin so it can be protected. And that's also where the sensitized skin comes in. If it's going to be extra sensitized, if that's gone, right? So it's really, really important to keep that skin barrier on.
It sounds like it's a filtration system.
It kind of is, yeah. That's an easy way to understand it, for sure.
Yeah. We're going to filter this out, but we're not going to filter that out. That kind of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any more questions, Jody Lynn, before we start tying things up?
No, this was very informative. I loved this conversation.
Well, we do need a little more information here. I mean, this is not that we haven't gotten any good information. We've got a ton of good information. But there are going to be some people, probably a few people listening who are saying, I have never thought about having a master esthetician before. I'm thinking maybe I need to do that. How do they find you, and what do they find when they find you?
So they can come to me as far as getting my free resource. I have a free gift for everybody if they want to reach out and grab that. And it just talks about really simple things that they can add into their day, morning and night. And it's stuff that you're going to have at home. It's ways that you can treat your skin, and it will take no more than 5 extra minutes in some of these things total. And so grab that at lp.fordandbeauty.com. And if they just want to start with the whole thing and learning about their skin and understanding it and being able to get the correct products and all of that, fordandbeauty.com is where I'm at. And then any of those, if they want to reach out on Instagram, ask me some questions, I'm more than happy to answer that. That's the Ford and Beauty.
All right. I just realized that I have another question that would probably take too long to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's kind of jumping out at me. This is pretty important. You were talking about how we can have these routines that are, 2 or 3 5-minute routines that we can do and just, be done for the day. Does that actually deal with the entire body, or is this just like hands and face, or what are we talking about?
So when I talk skincare, I mostly talk about the face. But within the course that I teach you, that we go through, it talks about your whole body and how to care for your body. And I mean, I even talk about shaving and exfoliating the body and everything like that. And really, if you add that in, hopefully you're showering every day, right? You're going to add, if you're not already doing these things, you're going to add like 1 or 2 minutes in the shower. So really taking care of your skin is not a big ordeal, right? Like it's not spending the day at the spa, right? It's small, simple, consistent steps every day.
Oh, I got another question, Walt.
Go for it.
Is there a recommendation that you have for things to look for that a product does not have or does have when it comes to the rest of your body? So minus the face, but for the rest of your body, should we also be looking for something that doesn't clog pores? I'm assuming that there's pores everywhere on the face, but I actually don't know.
There are pores everywhere. You're right.
Okay.
I do say look for non-comedogenic. And the reason for that is you are not going to get like acne or breakouts or clogged pores like you would on your face specifically. But if you are acne prone and you're putting it on your back or your chest, you may start breaking out there. And a lot of times I notice people shampoo in the order that they are doing that. If they do it incorrectly, then they're going to get breakouts all around from their conditioner and stuff like that. And so like I always stay away from that if possible. And if for any reason you have some, and I also am a big advocate, don't waste product. Use up what you have before you start something. So if you go home and you notice your lotion is not non-comedogenic, well, I would use it up. But what I would do is I would actually make sure, really aware that you're not touching your face after you put the lotion on, because that's so common, right? You lotion your body up and then you like go do your makeup or you do this or you're putting on your skincare at that point, like whatever order you do it in. So just really avoid the face for sure. And then if you have keratosis pilaris or something like that, then you need something a little more medicated, and you've got to be a little more careful what you're using as far as lotions and stuff like that too. So
is that stuff that you provide as well through the line of products that you have access to?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they have body care as well. We've got body lotions and we've got exfoliators and even anti-cellulite cream, which actually works, which is great. But yes, they do have body products as well.
Wow. So when somebody works with you, I know that you've got your course, Natalie, but if somebody wanted to just buy the products through you, is that a possibility as well? Or do they have to, I know that there's obviously some conversations that need to happen. You're not just going to blindly throw, everything in the kitchen sink at them, but is that an option as well, as to consult with you on, I want this or that. Can you provide me that?
Yeah, for sure. If they really don't care to learn about their skin, like I know that's not everybody's personality. I understand that. So if all they want is for me to look at their skin, go through their skin in depth and find out what their skin goals are and where they want to be with their skin, then yeah, I can just do a consultation and then they can go to the store, grab the stuff, it's online, grab the stuff that they want. And from there, they have access to the full store. But they do, if it's like body products, go ahead and grab that. If it's something like a CBD product, you can grab that. But if it's something like a glycolic or a retin-A, I do don't just buy any of that stuff. Let me say, hey, this will work, or don't. You need to stay away from that, especially when you're mixing so many products, right? If you already have a regimen. But yeah, they can just go on, and then if they're happy with the products, they're getting results, they're just fine. They don't have to keep talking to me. They can just keep continuing ordering them. And, as long as there's no questions or problems, they're good to go. Like they don't have to bother with me, because I know that sometimes is not people's personality. They don't want to keep checking in. They don't want to do all the education. They just want somebody to say, this is what you should use. And they're just going to do it. Right. Yep. So yeah, that is also an option.
Cool.
Jody Lynn, I think we hit the mother load.
We did.
This has been really good. Very educational. Yeah. In fact, that it's now something on my list. Okay, I got to follow up on this. This is important stuff.
There you go.
So thank you very much for. Yes. Well, where else am I going to go? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's a one-stop shop, for goodness sake. But no, we really appreciate you coming on. One thing that I want to tell you, Natalie, that I always tell our guests, because you have taken the time to share all this information with us. I'm sure you will do other podcasts, you write articles, and so on and so forth. Many people that you've reached out to that you'll never meet and you'll never see, who are benefiting from the stuff that you're putting out, and don't get recognition for that. So on that behalf of those people you've never met, you've never seen, who you've been helping and who you're going to continue to help, thank you for what you've been doing, because you are making a difference in this world.
Well, thanks.
I think it's important.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, we loved it. Absolutely loved it. And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.